Welcome to Starting From Zero, the podcast where we talk with social media creators from all walks of life and hear their stories of why they started their accounts, how they built their audience, and how they turned their passion into their career. Everyone starts with zero. In this episode, I talk with brothers Jonathan and Nathan, the creators behind the YouTube channel Methodbox. They spent the past 3 years testing out video ideas, figuring out what they like to make videos about, and learning the ins and outs of the YouTube algorithm. Having gone through a recent rebrand in their content, Methodbox can finally say they feel like they found the rhythm. Having amassed almost 8,000 subscribers on their channel, the boys at Methodbox are excited to be diving into the business of the modern entrepreneur and sharing what they learned along the way. This is actually the longest episode of the podcast to date, and Jonathan and Nathan give a lot of good insight, so I hope you enjoy this episode of the Starting From Zero podcast.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going, man?
How's it
going?
How you doing?
How are you?
Oh, what's up, guys? I'm doing well. What's up?
I was gonna say, so we got all this set up. We got a camera, and we have a mixer, and we have mics. We kind of want to finish off our overall check with you. How does it look on your end? Are we in focus? How does it sound?
You guys sound good to me.
I think, all right, we're good.
Everything's good on our end. Sorry, we're running a little late. We're just trying to get everything set up because we wanted it to look as good as possible.
We're like, wait, is this gonna be a video?
Well, I appreciate
literally
it,
2 seconds after we sent that, we looked on your page. I was like, oh wait, yeah, it does. This video.
Well, I appreciate you guys going all out. That's cool.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
of course.
Well, yeah, so this whole project is, I'm basically just like reaching out to different creative people and trying to hear their stories about like why they started, what that process was like, why we do what we do. And so I'm just kind of curious to, like, as an aspiring creator myself, like I'm interested to hear other people's stories about why they did it. So
Nice.
for anybody,
What podcast number are you on?
I think you guys are are like number 8, I think, around
sweet.
there.
Well, you've already had some great guests.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw Esprit and Audrey. Yeah. Two of my
they're
favorites.
really cool. They were so awesome to, they were like my second and third person to do this project. So they were awesome.
How did you hear about Esprit? How'd you get a hold of her?
So I think I was looking on Cody Wander's page for different people like who had a YouTube link in their bio. And if they had a link in their bio, I was like, they're probably, they're creative. So I'm going to hit them up and see if they'd be down to do this. Like I'm starting from zero. So I'm just trying to reach out to people who are kind of like at the same level and some people that I watch myself as well. So kind of like, and then I think she messaged me and was like, when I followed her, she was like, love what you're doing. And I just like, I'm asking everybody and anybody who wants to be on. So she was totally down.
Yeah, she's definitely kind of like you. She's interested in hearing about people's story. Well, as you know, she has two podcasts, and
Right.
We were actually on her podcast. We did a video on her.
Right.
It was
I saw your video when I was looking up like kind of some backstory on her. So how do you guys link up?
Well, same, Cody.
Yeah.
He was on her podcast, and then we were kind of like you, kind of wondering how we were just seeing when we started our channel, we were more focused on branding, is what we said. Just like we thought that was like an overall niche, even though it's not really a niche.
Such a strange word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what's cool about it is that it's like an umbrella of how you can interact with anybody because everyone is building something. So in the beginning, when we were maybe a little bit more directionless, we were just like, let's just reach out to people. And she stood out to us as one of those like go-getter entrepreneurial spirit. And we spent a really fun weekend with her. And it was like really introspective. We had like, it got like pleasantly dark at times. There was some highs in there. Yeah, it was what you would want out of meeting a stranger, spending 48 hours with them, and then coming out the other side and being like, wow, you're pretty dope human.
Yeah, very cool. So you went to like a conference that she was speaking at, is that right?
Yeah, it was in Venice. It was like at this venue. It was like in a basement, actually. It's kind of weird. But it was like obviously like an LA type thing. It wasn't like creepy or anything.
I think it was FreshBooks. Yeah, she was
Oh, yeah, that's
speaking
right.
at it.
FreshBooks.
Okay.
But by the way, are we recording? Or are we? Is this it? Are we on the
Yeah,
podcast?
basically,
We're in it.
we're going. This is happening. Yeah.
Oh
I
wow.
kind of,
Okay.
yeah, I kind of literally just like I have it auto recording whenever a call starts.
Oh, nice.
Oh sweet.
And then just go. Like, I don't really have like any notes or like any prepared questions. It's kind of just
Awesome.
like
Conversation.
yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Nice.
You know, I do some
All right.
research, like following up on what people are doing, and like think, you know, I feel it's so crazy. Like that's how people are communicating, like get their message across these days, is posting these like whatever platforms, these specific ones that have attention right now.
Sure.
And like that's how you get to know people.
Yeah. So the creative process, or why we're prone to creating and making it a public thing.
Yeah. Well, let's start like you know, when you made your YouTube channel, like your Gmail, and decided to like create, you know, click create channel. Like what were you guys thinking in that time?
Well, Nathan technically started the official channel.
Oh yeah. Well, it actually started before I even moved out here to Los Angeles.
Okay.
I had a tech channel on YouTube that I created for myself, where I was just like reviewing laptops, and like I had bought a new laptop with Christmas money, so I reviewed it and just making those types of videos. It was called Tech Hunt, and I probably started it in when was it, like 2017.
Yeah.
Right.
It was right before you came out here.
Yeah. And that video actually had like, I think right now we ended up making it private. It's got like 66K views.
No,
So,
Nathan, I feel like you're being a little bit modest about this. Nathan, on his second video ever, he started this Tech Hunt channel. On his second video, so at the time he was 19, and or maybe you were even 18 turning 19, and his second video ever, he reviewed this laptop, the best budget laptop, and he was so like just knowing when, like, I guess your instinct as to what to even make a video on. People, a bunch of college kids were looking at the time for laptops.
well, it seems so obvious because it was like the best laptop on Amazon, like almost objectively. It was like the best bang for your buck. So I was like, okay, I'll review it. And of course, because it's like, you know, the internet and Amazon, other people like start to understand this is like the best laptop. So then people naturally start to search for it. And I guess it was
this man gets 66,000 views on this video, his second video ever within the first 2 months. And looking back, because we're very much students of YouTube, students of the algorithm. We probably try to figure it out every day, try to crack this code, analyzing and adjusting and experimenting. And to think that you got that many views, because we try really hard to get views on our videos, you know,
just like any YouTuber. Yeah.
So it really, it was a very interesting move for us to say, we're going to start over. We're going to take your channel. We're going to take your 142 subscribers that you amassed, and that's going to be our foundation. And we're going to privatize your initial 8 videos, and including that laptop video. And we're going to just start over. And our first tech video is called Starting Over.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was once I moved out here, and then I started living with Jonathan because he is still in the process of buying this house because I was moving out here. So he lived with a roommate at the time, which we still live with her now. But there was only 2 bedrooms, so we had to get a bigger house. And in that time is when we decided to start the YouTube channel. And it was like it was probably almost 3 years, like 2.5 years, right, ago that we started it.
Yeah, it was April. Well, when we were really serious about hunkering down and let's try to post videos consistently, it was April of 2018. So we're like, it's just over 2 years into the channel. Yeah.
Nice.
And it's been quite the journey. I don't know if looking back, it's just so much work every week. Like if you really want to succeed, you really have to have
be
that
consistent at that level. Yeah.
Which is it's hard. It's always been hard for us to be consistent with our videos. We've tended to overproduce our videos, which tends to resonate with people. But at the same time, it's hard to keep that spirit going. And YouTube, the name of the game is you have to post at least once a week, at least.
Yeah, because it's true that you do want to have like good content so you could stand out and like rise to the top. There's like the cream rises to the top kind of idea. but you have to also balance it with the idea of like maintaining a relationship with the audience, because after a certain extent, like audience does care more about like checking in with you, and like they don't really care about like if it's super duper highly produced, more so than they just want to hang out with you that week or something.
Right.
So it was kind of difficult for us to really realize that. But I would say the more, excuse me, I would say the more that we have been doing this YouTube thing, the more we are starting to realize that.
Well, and the more I personally, I feel like I kind of was holding us back from a lot of growth, or
no.
what Nathan you're talking about the let's just post and let's just be present. I came from a film background, and I had my nose up to YouTube, and Nathan opened my eyes to it. And then in the beginning, it was the reason why we were overproducing was just, it was like an artistic integrity thing, you know? So just kind of letting go.
Do you feel like a little bit of perfectionism in that way?
Well, for sure. And of course, like, done is better than perfect. We've all heard that. But no, it's just more of pride and ownership of the body of work that you put out, and treating like everything that you put out. You just want to be, it's not going to be perfect. We know that, but you just want to be proud of it. And we know that's going to live on, and that's going to be added to the catalog. Right. And in the beginning, it was very much me being like, no, it's, we have to live up to this bar, this artistic bar. And so, like I said, people resonated with the quality, but at the same time, we were restricted from being consistent posters.
Yeah. When did you decide to like sort of let go of that?
That's actually what I was about to say. I think us over the years having conversations with like fellow creators and going to like these conferences like Vid Summit, or talking to like the Daryl Eves, they've really showed us that you can do the things that we want to do and like still maintain that integrity, but you have to do it in a lens where you're balancing both things, because you still need something to kind of garner the attention of an audience, and whatever that thing is, whatever you do choose for that to be your lever that you pull and reach with. Once you have that, then you can get creative within those bounds. Basically, like you need to create almost like like you have to be contained and like have an arena, and then within that arena, once people understand that you're the go-to person for like a certain thing, then you can start having fun with it. So it's really about like building that for yourself, that way you can have that freedom.
Right. Did you feel like you are like when you were initially you make that laptop tech review video, like did you innately know to do that, or was like, and the timing be correct, or is that something?
I would say that one was like more of luck at the time, just because it was like my biggest purchase at the time. I was just buying a laptop. I was buying it anyway, and I had kind of like this YouTube bug. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to make this video about it. And it just so happened to be like trending at the time. And I guess like I just titled it correctly and used the right tags. And because at the time, like I don't know nearly as much as I know about YouTube right now, but funnily enough, that's when I was getting the views. Well, that's before I did like
I think you're right about instinct. Yeah, you were just letting the supercomputer kind of just navigate you.
Yeah, like it's almost like, okay, what would I search kind of thing, versus like trying to get super analytical about everything, you know?
Yeah. But I also feel that in the beginning for you, it was very much you just wanting to, like it wouldn't have mattered what you would have made a video on. You kind of just wanted to make a video. Or
yeah, for sure.
Just wanted to be on YouTube.
Yeah, I remember editing like a little. Except I was originally from Chicago before I moved out here, and there's on Lower Wacker Drive, it's like this underground. If you've seen the movie Batman, when he's like driving through the streets and it's like,
come on, hit me
in Arkham.
Yeah.
Basically, me and my friends would go down to like that area sometimes, and there would be like car drifters, like people that would like do like drifting and stuff. And I remember recording a video, posting it on Facebook, and it almost like going viral on Facebook. And I was like, this was awesome to make. I'm just gonna keep doing this, but on YouTube, and like make my own videos. And so I think that was the bug that I was trying to, the scratch I was trying to itch at that time.
Interesting.
As far as this transition from letting go of overproducing our videos and being more consistent posters, of course that has to do with finding the balance within quality and quantity. But I would say more so, I mean, we all understand, just being consumers out in the world, listening to artists that are trying to make a business out of it, that it is definitely, to bring that word back, balancing art and business. And that's when we were so artistic integrity heavy, I think it was letting go of that and understanding the business side of it. The business side of it is you kind of do have to be formulaic, especially in today's day where there's so much information and content on all these platforms. It really just, if you think of it from a psychological point of view, like let's just say your favorite TikToker, because you know you're scrolling and every 10 minutes you're seeing 30 to 40 videos. So what ends up happening is someone does something and it kind of tickles you in a certain way. It's the way they said something. It's the way the image was presented. And then you might see them again 2 weeks later and they're kind of still doing the same thing, but it triggers that, oh, right, it's that person that kind of did something to me 2 weeks ago. And when you keep experiencing that over the months, you start to say, okay, I'm going to follow this person on their journey as an artist, more so because I like when they do that thing, I like how it makes me feel. So I'm going to keep revisiting this person.
I feel like that's why it's so easy to grow on TikTok, because it's almost like as soon as you go on the app, all you have to do is this. And then you're being presented new profiles and new people and new trends, versus like a platform like YouTube or any other platform where it's like you want to look into somebody, you actually have to invest the time to like search them up, click on the video, pick a video, click on it, then commit to it, versus like the For You page just feeds it to you.
Being told what to watch.
And it's like via algorithm, it just kind of knows already what you're going to be into, and it's going to like reserve you that creator that you saw last week. And like, there you go. They're doing the same thing. So now you're more invested and all you have to do is one click and now you're on their profile.
Right. Initially, when I reached out to you guys, you said you were in the middle of a rebrand. So this would be like a good time to kind of like talk it out. What is it that you guys want to be known for then with your content?
Well, I think it kind of came naturally because for a while, Jonathan and I were trying to figure out, because we realized that, like I said earlier, you have to have that thing. And then once you're in that thing, then you can kind of do whatever you want. We're trying to figure out, okay, like what is that thing for us? And I don't know, should you want to go into like the whole?
Yeah, I think we should just be transparent about everything. So it's been quite the journey. Yes, it has come natural, but it also has been a lot of work, like actual intentional work to figure it out. And the name of the game is identity. Trying to figure out this business side. What is the thing that we're going to present over and over and over again as our brand? We've tried a lot of things, especially in quarantine. So I think, okay, so in the beginning, people resonated with, we like your vibe. We don't really know what it is. We know you're kind of messing with entrepreneurs and you say that you want to see what it takes to build a brand and you're using yourself as an example. Okay, cool. Every video, it was like a variety hour. Every video we would post and I liked it.
Yeah, because there was almost like an air of mystery behind us, right?
There was an air of mystery.
Like, we're kind of new, but we were like collaborating with like a lot of bigger YouTubers.
Yeah, almost immediately.
Like, it was like, who are these guys and like how did they figure out a way to get in touch with all these people?
But every video was different from an artistic point of view. The format was different, and we were creatively satisfied, and we were doing these collabs, but that didn't lend itself to growth. So I think if quarantine didn't happen back in March, I think we would have probably kept doing what we were doing, just putting out videos, kind of rudderless, directionless, without thinking. What this lockdown has enabled us to do is just really stop and think and be like, okay, let's actually give this thought. We took Daryl Eves' channel Jumpstart course, and that really starts with, all right, what's your identity? So what are other channels you like? And not only that, but in having conversations with other of our creator friends or YouTube friends, because we talk about this a lot, we realize that there's so many factors. There's the ease factor. How frequently you have to have an idea as your identity. You have to be able to produce something where the ideas just come to you, or we can almost just sit here and within an hour roll out the next 10 videos that we're going to do. So we need the ease factor. We have to have our own personal motivation. At one point we were self-development a couple of months ago. Yeah. We were going to try like a Matt Diavello approach to things because we were the filmmaker. Okay. But then doing all these challenges in our own life, we're going to meditate every day for 30 days. We're going to do that. We're going to wake up.
I ran a 5K every day. 5K. And then you were going to do a push-up one.
I was like, I don't want to make a push-up video. Like, I completed the challenge. I did it. But having to make a video about it, it was just like, I don't care about push-ups. Why should people care about push-ups? So anyway, it was like the own personal motivator factor is the thing.
The thing is, like, those videos, they do really good on YouTube. So it was like, that was, so it was almost like us going through this like gauntlet of trying to figure out how can we succeed. So it's like, first, like, what do other people want? And then like we tried that and we realized, okay, maybe that, like, sure, that might get a lot of views, but we don't feel creatively fulfilled.
Right.
And then it was like continuing on this journey.
So where do you find that balance? Right. That's the key.
Well, I think we've landed in a place that we feel really comfortable with that answers all the questions. Now, we were in a kind of a low place not that long ago, maybe like a month and a half ago, where Nathan had an injury. He fell off his bike. Want to just give a little backstory to that?
So actually, during that whole self-development phase that we were going through, I was trying this this next video after my running video that was I was gonna fast for 7 days, right? Which is like eat anything for a week, and I was like day 3 in, and my car at the time was getting fixed because like the AC had gone out, so I was getting it repaired. And so I was on my bike, and I decided to go on a bike ride because I had to run some errands. And as I'm riding my bike, it was one of those bikes that like you buy online and you assemble it yourself. And it was like, I don't know, like $120. It's not like the fanciest bike, whatever. Anyway, so I'm riding my bike, right? And as I'm riding my bike, I'm going down the street, and I guess like when I was assembling it, I didn't properly tighten everything. So it's my fault. So I'm riding the bike, and as I'm riding, the handlebar starts to become loose. There's this bolt that connects the handlebars to like the front gear of the bike where the tire is. So my handlebars are straight, but my tire turns this way, and I try to like turn it so it like gets straight again, and it's just loose. So I'm just doing this and nothing's happening. Oh, man. And next thing I know, like I'm turning into the street, and I go down the curb, and I fall forward over my bike, stick my arms out to break my fall, and I get this thing called an elbow effusion, where like this fatty sack of like water, I don't even know what it is, like by your joint, like popped, and I had to go to the emergency room. And I was like in 2 casts for like 2 weeks, like this.
Oh my God!
I couldn't even use my arms.
So during that time, it was kind of a depressing time around the house. Nathan was in his room, secluded.
Well, also like coronavirus, you know.
I mean, but we've gone through waves of experiencing lockdown in a lot of colorful ways. But that one was like the time where the shades were drawn, and I don't want to make a push-up video, and so
I can't even take a shower over here. My arm.
So I was like, okay, I'm going to, I really, Nathan was starting to say things like, I don't even know if I like want to keep doing YouTube. I don't know. I'm like interested in these other things like finance and this and that.
Right.
I'm like, I really did feel that we've come such a long way. We put so much time into these videos. We've had so many wonderful experiences with people and so many sleepless nights making these videos and editing them and really putting yourself out there for 2 years, 2.5 years. And it almost feels like a stock, like that's the whole thing is you investing in yourself.
Exactly. Yeah.
At some point it's gonna, it'll hit, and then it will have made up your investment, return on investment. So I was like, Nathan, we have a stock here. It's about to hit. I need to figure this out. So I spent a good 3 to 4 days just kind of taking all of our notes of everything that we've talked about and all the conversations with other creators. And then I realized that the answer was kind of just in front of us the entire time. It was just an extension of what we had already been doing. So you take this idea of what does it take to build a brand? And this idea of being able to collaborate with entrepreneurs and figure out their stories, because we fancy ourselves investigators. We like going out into the world. That's another thing that I was kind of bummed about with the self-development route, was that we weren't going to get to go out there and have adventures and experience things.
Just the worst time for that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, exactly. So I was like, Nathan says he wants to get into personal finance. That's still self-development, and that's still entrepreneurial. And I think that's when we were like, that's just it. Why don't we just focus on that as our niche? Still be the investigators, still be the filmmakers, but now we're personal finance.
And I kind of think where that came from was because it's personal finance, but it's like personal finance as it relates to what we say like the modern entrepreneur. So like influencers or just like pop culture. So like we made a video about how much Joe Rogan's going to save moving to Texas, or what's going on.
Yeah, I like that video.
TikTok versus Trump, or just like things that are happening within social media or pop culture that relates to finance. And I think that came naturally because I found that the conversations that Jonathan and I were having were about these things that were happening within the space. You know, our whole community is creators and influencers, people that have built like a platform for themselves. And so we're just constantly surrounded by it. So when we see fellow creators or friends or just other influencers doing like brand deals or making money or doing cross-platform stuff or just like big moves that are kind of like new in this modern entrepreneurial era, it kind of inspires us and it gets us thinking of like the potential that this industry has. And like we just found ourselves having that conversation just naturally all the time of like, oh, did you see what this person did? Or like, this is huge because they did this means that now they can do all this other stuff. So I think that was another reason that we were like, oh, we're just because we're talking about this all the time, like it's interesting to us. What if we just incorporate that with this whole personal finance aspect of the channel, and then like we could go that route.
Yeah, I also think that not only is it niche, it's the thing that we wanted to do with branding initially. Not only is it niche, but it's something that anyone could watch. Which that's when, you know, we're having this talk because there was one point in this journey of figuring out our identity where we were like, I think we figured it out. Let's be like the film instructors, because that's, you know, it'd be easy to make those videos. And I think we were talking to our friend Alex Gasaway, and then she's like, well, actually what it was is we were excited, we were doing a Zoom call. We were excited to break the news to her. Like, we figured it out. We had seen that she had posted her last 10 videos were film instructor type videos, and they were doing really well. And we were basically going to make it official and say, hey, we're joining the ranks. And so we called her to tell her, and then we're like, but how's it going for you doing all the film stuff? She's like, I hate it.
Really?
Like, doing this, pigeonholing yourself into this, like, Imagine 3 years down the line, how are you going to feel about having to make a tutorial on the next Sony camera or whatever? And we're like, kind of really deflated us, but in a good way. We're like, yeah, you're right. And she was like, you guys need to think bigger. So anyway, yeah, what's your story? What do you want to be? We're like, well, call you back tomorrow.
It was funny too, because it almost seemed like the obvious decision for us to go that route, because that's kind of like what people know us for, is like the filmmakers, the like storytellers, and that's kind of like what everybody in our community and in our space is into. So it seemed like the obvious route, and it was almost like a wake-up call when we had that conversation with Alex, because it was like, wait a second, there's like, take a step back. There's like a different way to look at this whole situation. It's like, why go for that type of channel that can only get like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like, think of that like the film instructor. Look at the Peter McKinnons and the Mango Streets. Look at their viral video. What's their biggest viewed video? And then look at the Mattiavellas or people that they have that niche, but they can reach. You could share your video with your mom.
Yeah, it's like a viral video for let's say Peter McKinnon is like 10 million views, but a viral video for Mr. Beast is 100 million views. You know,
and that's that's way on the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah, so it's like obviously it's like an extreme, but. Yeah, it's like the idea of like go harder and like try to reach for
bigger,
faster, like more.
Yeah. But you guys are also like, yeah, you're niching down, but there's a lot. It's like a lot broader of a topic that you guys can talk about, a lot of different things versus just filmmaking and
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if you know this too, but finance and real estate channels, and tech channels too. Actually, they have a higher CPM.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, so it's actually that's why you kind of see this rise of a lot of like finance YouTubers, is for that very reason. It's like, because it all depends on the ads that are placed on the video. So if you have like a finance video, you're probably going to get like a Shopify ad or like an ad from a bank or like an investment firm or something like that. And usually those companies have a lot more money to play with. Like, it's a bank, of course they have more money. So they'll be willing to pay more money for an ad, which in turn makes it so you end up getting more money from said ads. So that's why there kind of seems to be like this surge of personal finance YouTubers.
Yeah, like the Shelby Churches and
like the Graham Steffens or like the Andre.
And so we've posted 3 videos, and this has been the test, because we could have the idea of, we think this is where we want to go, but it's not until you start making them, then and so far, so good. We feel pretty good about it. We've only been focused on the influencer part of the entrepreneurship, but we definitely want to, the next few videos we want to make be like finance based, be real estate based, be stock based, and actual personal finance based.
Okay, so nice. That's exciting to like be a part of. You're like trying to actually figure out what your niche is going to be, and then executing and finding out more, like what people are wanting, getting feedback, and like that's huge.
Yeah, I feel like every week now it's kind of like a new experiment that we're trying, because it's like there's always something a little different that we do, and then we see how it performs via like on the algorithm, or how people personally react to it, or even just our workflow, like trying to figure out like what needs to get done by a certain time, or like who does what, or how we divvy up the time. It's like every week there's something new to be learned. So even if it's like we're like 2 years or however long we are into this, it's still like, wow, there's literally every time you post a video, there's always something else you could learn. It's kind of amazing.
It's all one big science experiment for sure.
Yeah. And you touched on something as well that I wanted to ask you guys, because like doing this project, and I've attempted other kinds of creative endeavors on YouTube, and like it's just been me throughout this process so far. So to be a part of a duo, and like being able to split up that kind of work and work together and brainstorm and all that kind of stuff, like how has being a part of a duo, a creative duo, kind of been a benefit or a drawback? Like what's been your process with it?
I don't know how people do this on their own. You're
Probably
wearing
super
so
lonely.
many hats. You go into, I'm going to be a YouTuber, thinking you're going to throw a camera up. You're a cinematographer, you're a director, you're a producer, you're an actor. That part's probably been the hardest for us, the performance part. You're an editor, you're a colorist, you're a sound mixer, then you're a promoter. You know, they're wearing so many hats, and maybe if your videos are just, I'm going to throw a camera up whenever I feel inclined to do so, and then whatever it is, I just go post it. And maybe that's better. I don't know.
Have you guys had like experience working creatively just by yourselves to bring to working in a duo as well?
Yeah, I think Jonathan and I come from different spaces, where he's more of the traditional filmmaker and I'm more like raised in the YouTube and just internet age. So because we have those two different backgrounds, we're able to bring different elements to the table. And I think it helps because, for example, like when it comes down to time to create a thumbnail, like I might be super sold on something and be like, this is it. And then it's like, that's not enough, because now I have to sell it to my partner, right? And although that could be kind of like nervous, or I could feel like, oh no, like now I have to sell it to somebody and I have to do a good job pitching it to somebody, even though I know this is like the right thing. It almost forces me to like get a fresh eyes on it. So then I have to then ask myself like, wait, can this be better? So it probably does help, even though in the short term it does seem kind of like, but in the long term, it's definitely like, it's a good thing to have.
It's a checks and balance system that is very necessary. That is every creative decision that's happening throughout the entire, from even just talking about what idea are we going to do this week and everything in between to the very end. It's a check and balance system, and it's really emotionally draining, because you do have to sell the other person on it.
Yeah, because it's not like if you just like sometimes you have that gut feeling, you're like, this is it, but then it's like the next level of having to sell it, which like I said, it's in the long run, it's good to have. And especially with like workflow stuff, when just trying to like add the actual amount of work, the fact that we can split it up, it makes it so much easier. Now, our next thing we have to get good at is actually like not waiting last minute, because we post weekly, right? Or like every Monday.
Now we can say that we do.
Yeah, right. So our goal is to post every Monday, but rather than like kind of like divvying up the work throughout the week, we kind of like push it to like the weekend, and then it like ends up with us being like all-nighters Sunday night, and like up until
which is not good when you're my age.
Yeah,
to not sleep one day each week.
Yeah, that's definitely something we have to get better at, because knowing that there's two of us, we probably could get more content out there more than once a week if we're doing these kind of videos like all-nighters, like it takes like 20 hours, I would say.
These last videos that we've been putting out, I think I clocked it on my tracker. They each take about 55 hours combined.
Okay, right.
So like say if we wanted to do two, it would be 100 hours, right? Or like 110 hours. I'm sure we could like figure out a way to spread that out across the week and get like 2 videos out. But I think we're kind of in the situation where it's like, what is that saying? Like you're only something about the amount of time you're allotted.
Oh,
like you'll make
work fills the time, expands to fill the time allotted.
Right. So it's like we push all our work to the end of the week, but we make sure to make it happen. Versus if we were to spread it out throughout the week, I'm sure we would be able to get like more videos out. So although there's 2 of us, like we make it so like there has to be 2 of us by the end of the week in order to get the video out.
I think I think what you're failing to mention though, in this the work fills the time allotted, is that these videos, well, for one, they need to be topical. So if we're jumping on an idea like the Joe Rogan announced on a Friday that he was going to move to Texas, he finally made it official, or Trump said that he was going to for sure ban TikTok on a Friday night.
The internet moves so fast that you have to get on it. Yeah.
We're journalists in a way, and we're like, all right, we have 2 days to take this topical video and present something. So part of it is the topicalness, but the other part is these videos still, even though we found a good format, take a lot out of us. So we just need that break after. I mean,
or an editor.
Like come Monday when we're done and we finally get to sleep after that weekend, like it's good to just not think about YouTube for a few days, before we have to start back up again. So there's no way I think we could do 2 videos a week.
It would have to be like the case where if it's like a job where it's like, all right, from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., like you go to this job where you do this thing, and then that's how you make sure you get your hours in every single day. But we have to get out of this pattern of like pulling all-nighters, because in this situation, it's like, Monday comes around when theoretically it's time to like start promoting your video. I'm in my bed sleeping till 7 p.m. because I did not get any sleep the last day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like we have to kind of get control of this kind of like crazy, it's just extreme.
And I think right now it's the name of the game is just, let's just do what it takes to be consistent, because we haven't been consistent. And right now we have 3 in a row and we have to go for 4 in a row. So I'm okay with pulling all-nighters each week, but yes, we will figure it out as long as you just keep posting. And man, I was going to say something else. I forgot. But
I think right now, like you said, Jonathan, it is important to just kind of like because Jonathan had said earlier, we had gone a while without posting consistently weekly. And now we're starting to get back into it. Like you said, we just hit 3 weeks and now we're about to hit our 4th week. I think once we start to get back into that mindset of just posting regularly, and like we've already established, like, okay, you can expect videos from us every week at this certain time and our audience knows that, then we could start getting better at other aspects of social media, like getting more involved on Twitter, Instagram, and like start involving these other mediums of social media and kind of like start to rebalance everything once we're kind of got the bar set at a certain level with the YouTube thing. Because that's like with an influencer, it's like, there's so much,
Do you find it important to pick one platform to focus on at a time?
I want to say yes, but I also want to say no, because I feel like you should diversify your platforms, because like if something were to happen, like this whole TikTok thing, right? It's like, what happens if your platform just goes away? Then it's like, it's good to just have a presence across just the internet as a whole. That way, I feel like that's when you really are like an influencer, because then it's like, you're just omnipresent and everybody just kind of like knows who you are no matter what space you're on. And then like, you're known as like that guy.
The personality. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And then that's how you like really make the money when it comes to like selling merchandise or courses or anything. And like, that's how you really build your audience across multiple mediums like that.
I get in the habit. So a lot of the YouTubers that we watch are just our friends. I actually find it hard to watch YouTube in general, just because like, why would you watch YouTube when you can watch Netflix? These like $1 million productions that a whole crew put together for your entertainment. But no, when you're not searching something, when you're like, just want to be entertained.
Sure.
But I find myself, I think I can speak for Nathan too. We find ourselves watching our friends a lot, and it's more so to see their art and to see we're invested in them and their journey, and we want to support them. So when it comes to social media, I find that I have this bad habit of when we aren't posting, I just don't want to participate in all of it, because I just feel bad knowing that all of our friends are still out there working hard at it. I'm like, I just don't want to see it. But as soon as we start posting again, it's like, oh, hey guys, we're back on Twitter.
Even though it really isn't, it does kind of feel like a competition, even though we know it's not, where it's like, we're all just trying to like compete to succeed. But it's like, at the end of the day, we can all succeed, and we all like help push each other up, and like we share views and share community and audience. But it does feel like, oh man, this person's making moves, and it makes you feel bad that you're not. In a way.
If it does feel competitive, it's a good competitive of not that the internet, no one's taking anything from anyone else, especially on YouTube. It's a perfect.
There's so much out there.
Democracy, where, But I will say that if there is a competition, it's to motivate you to, I got to get back in this?
Yeah, it's almost like a accountability type thing where you feel guilt. It's not like, oh, I don't want you to succeed. It's like, man, I should be succeeding.
I need to work harder. Like,
right. Exactly. That's like, yeah, exactly.
There was one time in when we first launched April of 2018, that summer was a big summer for us. We actually were posting a lot. We were really hungry, and we were making these fun collabs happen. And then right around October, for our first Vid Summit, we started to get really anxious because we had seen some growth early on, and then now we were starting to get a little bit more stagnant. And we were just in our heads a lot. And there was one point where I was really just anxious that we weren't doing enough. And at the time, you mentioned Cody earlier. Cody was a daily vlogger, and he's just posting every day. And they're actually surprisingly pretty great quality for being able to bust out an edit every single day, or just content every single day. And I was like, this is the perfect example. Who am I to complain about how stress-inducing this being a YouTuber is when this man is posting a video every single day? And so it's moments like that where you're just like, I have to stop crying in my head and just like, let's just keep working at this.
I have a question, Jonathan. Do you find that you enjoy social media less than before because it's more of a job now? Just like personally?
No, in fact, no. I appreciate it more. Kind of similar to why we like watching our friends, because it's kind of, you're just interacting with the community. Before, if I wasn't a creative that had to self-promote basically every single week, I just wouldn't be on social media at all. It's not my vibe. I think it's like, a lot of it is, if you're not building a business on it, I think a lot of it is like just digital narcissism. It's not healthy, and it's like a really ego based, and I just would prefer not to interact with it. It's just it's a distraction. But now that we have to participate, and now that we're trying to be influencers, you kind of have to learn to embrace it and to treat it like a business. Mm-hmm. And the community is a big part of that. So
even though you treat it like a business, you still you're a big fan of it? Because for me sometimes,
same question for you. Yeah.
For me sometimes I'm like, I think about it, and like, because we treat it like a job, there's almost like a certain responsibility that has to be there, or like a certain commitment that you have to have to it. So it's not all the time, but certain times it can feel draining, where it's like, oh, I'm just posting it to like kind of show. Because like as Jonathan said, it does kind of feel like narcissistic, but not when you're like necessarily trying to grow a brand, because you are trying to like, grow something for yourself.
It's understanding.
Right.
Understandable.
But, like it's understanding externally, but like internally, it can feel draining at times, because it's like, I'm doing this not out of like self satisfaction, but more so out of like to build a business.
But that makes more sense though.
Yeah. It does make more sense versus like trying to just do it to like get more followers or whatever, like personally. Cause I think I'm in the same boat as Jonathan, where like, if we didn't have Methodbox, I probably wouldn't be as active on social media. I mean, like I would still like post like random stuff and like talk to my friends and everything. But because we are doing it like a business thing, it almost does feel like more of a commitment.
Well, I think there was this kind of lie that we told ourselves because social media is still new. And I think there was this lie that we told ourselves in the beginning. Like, let's just say when Facebook was popular back in 2008 and 2009, we were like, oh, we post because we want to be connected to our family and friends. And I think now more so than ever, especially during quarantine, we're realizing that, no, just go call your mom, dude. Like, just actually have a conversation with her or whoever, like actually go meet your uncle or your friend for coffee and actually have a moment with them. The social media thing, it's not what we thought it was as far as connection goes. It's just all this big, I mean, we all know this, these are topics that we always talk about. The facade of be presented. Here's the presentation of my life. Here's how I would like you to perceive my life. And it's just like, oh, okay, which in a way, it's almost
story at all. Yeah.
But in a way, it's almost like a creative thing, really. It's like, and it's also like a sales thing. It's like, oh, okay, this is you being a salesman and an artistic eye on what you think your life should be.
I'm sure after a while, the more you do it, the more like you convince yourself, this is my life. Yeah. And then you're full influencer.
Or you convince yourself that you're actually tricking people into believing that this is your life.
Hey, I'm sure it's like that's why people like the Addison Rays and the Charlie D'Amelios, they get so popular.
Do you guys want to be called influencers? Is there another...
I think I know a lot of people like put their nose up to it, but I think more than ever, like I feel like it's, as far as like us being called influencers, I mean, I don't know. I don't feel like we're there yet.
I think it's the word. The word itself inherently is douchey, but I don't know. See, I'm one of those people that I don't get caught up on. We need a word to define something, and that's the word that we have.
That's what's been chosen.
Right. I mean, it's the word that makes the most sense for what it is, even though it does kind of sound like a little psychopathy.
And I think however we want to, whatever word we want to fill in for influencer, that occupation, we very much want to be that. And it's all about, because once you've grown an audience on any platform, then you can you can build anything from a business perspective. If you want to go make a coffee brand, like Emma Chamberlain, or if you want to go sell shirts, or if you want, whatever, if you want to start a podcast, there's a lot of ways to monetize.
Making money on the internet, essentially.
Exactly.
Right. Like, I guess the other term would be creator, but I feel like that doesn't fully define what it is, because there is that whole other aspect.
Content creator? It's just like a little bit longer, but yeah. I don't know.
But that doesn't, like I said, that doesn't fully articulate the whole idea behind it, because like the whole other half of it is like you using your audience to sell something, or like to promote something, or just like get your voice out there.
And that's a lot of work. That's admirable to have built an audience, especially in today's age, where you're basically vying for people's attention, and to be able to say, when someone decides, especially on YouTube, on Instagram, it's a lot more flippant to be like, I'm going to follow you. But on YouTube, especially, you have to earn that subscribe button and keep them too. It's really easy for them to be like, you know what, I'm going to unsubscribe. So you've earned a subscriber, and it's admirable to have gained any from, whether you're starting at zero or wherever, if you're in the millions, like you did something to gain people's respect enough to want to follow you for a certain amount of time.
And as like, somebody who, just like you guys, like that's what I want to be doing in life, as well as like making money off the internet and being an entrepreneur. And that's kind of like where this project all came from. It's like, I am starting from zero. I want to talk to people who have done it or in the process of doing it themselves. If I can hear their stories, maybe I can take something away and implement it into my own process. And then ultimately, like what I found is like the best thing so far from doing this project is just having other people ask me, like, ask me questions. So like, how are you distributing your podcast? Or like, do you have any tips? And I've like, just recently, like I'm just starting out myself, but like I've had a couple people reach out, and like, that's kind of like my favorite part of doing this kind of stuff.
It's
for sure.
It's almost, I don't want to say foolproof, but it's a really good tactic too, like starting a podcast, because it's a really easy way to like grow first via like word of mouth. It's like after this interview, you asked us if we know anybody that would want to be on the podcast, and then like we give you 3 people, and then you reach out to them, and then it's growing like a tree, And the other aspect is like, as that keeps growing, you'll start to have like higher caliber audience or higher caliber guests on, and then those guests will then like start to promote it, and then it'll get even more viewers, and then it just keeps growing and growing and growing exponentially like that.
I think that's the goal.
That's like almost like a foolproof way of growing.
I think your medium and your format also lends itself to really good conversations that will once you're doing it, the Joe Rogans of the world, they constantly say how much better humans they are just because of all the great conversations and guests that they have been exposed to. So there's also that element for it. Just you're forcing yourself. We used to say all the time that YouTube forces us out of our rooms. And when the medium that we scheduled this time to have a discussion, to actually just talk shop. And that's something that, you're not sitting on your ass. You're out there doing something and actively being a participant, not just in this art, but in life. And as cliche as that sounds, it's true.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm really just trying to like get to talk with people who are more like-minded to myself as well. And like putting myself out of my comfort zone and just trying. I think that's like the biggest thing, because you never know unless you actually put some sort of effort behind your words. And that's something that I've struggled with myself. I've been the person who's put action behind it and like sat back and just been lazy about it. So right now I'm trying to execute on things, and quarantine has kind of been a big time for that.
Well, kudos, man. Kudos. Yeah. Tell us, Tell us about yourself. What do you find the hardest? Why did you choose this particular? Where do you want to take it?
Yeah, so I had a corporate marketing job straight out of college, and that I was basically traveling every week somewhere across the country. So every Monday I flew somewhere, and every Friday I flew back home to Tampa, Florida,
wow.
where I'm at right now. And then I just had a bunch of downtime in the airport, and I was watching. I would watch, probably the people that you guys call friends, or like the people that I watch on YouTube, and a lot of Casey and big Colin and Samir fan. And I knew I wanted to start something. Like, I had that corporate job, and I was like, this isn't it. What is the thing that I want to be doing in life? And I knew if I didn't start something, then it would just never happen. So I just took it upon myself, and then I started a YouTube channel, and my first kind of series that I tried was interviewing people in the airports. So anybody cool. Just kind of waiting around in the airport, I tried to find a quiet area, somebody by them just waiting around on their phone or something. And I would ask one question each day, and then edit all the different answers together to kind of show how different people's answers can be to the same question.
I like that idea. That's cool, man.
Yeah, thanks. Different or similar, I guess. People's
state of mind when they're about to take flights to go home or to go somewhere that they're excited to go to is really interesting. And also they're trying to kill time, so it's the perfect time to catch them. Exactly. Yeah, and it's I just was when I was in airports every week. I was every airport I'm in is full of people, and everyone has a different story and different reason for traveling. So I was just trying to meet different people, and that was my first attempt at YouTube. And then it's that process of being a creator, and you want to be a creator. You're sitting there at 50 subscribers, and you see all these people growing their channels, and you wonder how did somebody get to 100,000? How did somebody get to 1 million subscribers? And it was that realization of I wanted to start talking to people who have done it themselves and hear their process, and that's how I came up with this idea. Yeah.
Very entrepreneurial mindset.
I feel like the answer to that question, by the way, how does somebody, I feel like it's different for everyone, because we analyze a lot of channels and just people in general. And some people, I think at the end of the day, there's working hard at it, but there's also just, they're doing something right. Or that they had a good idea, and that video, for whatever reason, the algorithm picked up because they did something right, the way they presented it or something.
Yeah, there's a balance between pleasing the algorithm and making content that the algorithm recognizes a pattern with and knows who to serve it to. But then there's the human aspect of it. It's cool, you can make it, you can make it so it looks nice to a robot, but how do you make it so it makes it appeasing to the human? And
then there's us. So yeah, there's the AI, there's the human consumer, and then there's us, and we have to satisfy all three. So it's every single week we have that job to do, and with the added bonus of, is this going to be the video that might take, is this the idea this week?
You never know, right?
That's probably why people like David Dobrik become so popular, is because they're having fun doing it. They're making vlogs where they don't really care about whatever they're doing. It's just kind of fun. It's like a TV show, like Colin Samir talked about, right? It's it's one of those things that he doesn't care too deeply into the robot or the algorithm side. He just wants to make videos that make people feel good. And then once he does that, then the audience will tell the robot that, okay, this is working, we should promote it to more people.
Yeah, I always find it so fascinating to hear just him specifically talk about SeatGeek as a character in the vlogs.
It's such an interesting new form of marketing, and that's why we're really convinced and believe that this is there's no other thing that's gonna take precedent over this influencer culture. This is the thing of the future. This is going to replace traditional TV, or celebrities are now traditional celebrities are now going to be on par with TikTok celebrities. They're basically on the same caliber now.
Yeah, but it's just nuts.
But we can't forget the power of real estate, traditional investing, and stocks and intellectual property. We can't, I think, the influencer, as far as investing goes, that is the new exciting thing to talk about. But I think that there's still something super exciting about growing wealth through real estate, through stocks, through intellectual property that still needs to be discussed. I would love it if those 4 tiers, those 4 columns were equally talked about on our channel, even though we've been really heavily reliant on the influencer part. Mm-hmm. I think we need to start eventually, maybe here soon, within the next year or so, we'll, we want to be able to talk to the Graham Steffens and because right now we've been so focused on like, let's talk to the Cody Wanners and the Colin and Samirs, but it's like, well, what about this other side of YouTube? It's like, let's go hang out in that corner of the internet for a bit, let's get out of this one for a second and see what this is like.
It's interesting to think how these different like niches on YouTube or the different corners have their own communities. So it's like, we've established ourselves within like the no small creator community, right?
Right.
And now it's like, all right, cool. Like people know who we are there. Now let's start thinking about expanding to other communities. That way we can just like keep growing, and like almost kind of merge the two in a way.
But also growing this is a theme that's been coming up, growing within ourselves and our lives. It's like to be able to explore these other things as well. That isn't just a little bubble that we've put ourselves in.
Because I feel like it's not too far of a reach. Like the people that are probably interested in like creative entrepreneurship or like video making or just like any of the people in our community, chances are they are interested in like how to make money or like how to start a business or like all the it's just natural. The crossover is natural. So it makes sense and it doesn't feel like too much of a reach. That's why I think we're kind of confident going in this direction as far as like maintaining our current audience and still making them excited, but still maintaining with it, but still staying topical within the niche of not only like real estate and stocks, but also like the creator side of it.
Right. No, I think it's a very like untapped market on YouTube at the moment. So like there's a lot of potential to, like you said, just to like go through those different communities and find your people,
Yeah, and there's so many too, man. There's hundreds of, probably thousands, honestly, different corners of YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really just about like finding what really resonates with you and just introducing yourself as like a player within that community, so people start to recognize you and your name.
But having the overall vision of sticking within the niche that you've created for yourself, not venturing off too far from the beaten path.
Yeah, I feel like once you start to grow an audience and like say you have 1 million subscribers, then you can start to like become more generalized because you have that initial fan base.
People are there for you. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And it's like if we put out a video right now, like say our baseline is 500 views, or it's like if it doesn't get served to anybody else, like YouTube doesn't promote it, just our base subscribers, it gets 500 views versus like Colin and Samir, if they put out a video, their baseline is like 10,000, you know what I mean? So it's like, as you grow too, the chances of YouTube promoting your video becomes bigger because you have that initial push from your core audience.
It's all exponential growth. So for any of you listening out there that want to start some creative art, entrepreneurial and direction for yourselves, just know that the beginning is the toughest. It's always hard to get started with something from a motivational, but it's also hard to basically not get anything in return for a long time. But know that once things do start taking off, it's exponential growth. So they say, didn't Casey Neistat say that it was harder for him to gain his first 1,000 than his first 1 million subscribers or something like that? It's so true.
Once you have some traction.
Yeah, I think that's why that's where the importance of like the whole community thing comes in, because even if you don't have those views, as long as you're like a name and just like a figure within your space, you could still like interact with the people and like you could start to build your base that way, It's like it just get on. Twitter's probably like the best place to do it because it's all just text based and like it's real time.
Audrey said the same thing as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's like with Instagram, it's like you can't just put text up. You have to have like a picture to accompany it or something. Versus Instagram or Twitter, it's just like any thought that you have, just jot it and send it out into the internet, the World Wide Web.
Right.
And it's a super easy way to like grow relationships with people or interact or like share your video or like engage in conversations that'll show you your worth within the space and give your opinions so people can start to value those opinions and be like, I like this guy. I'm going to check out his stuff. And then word of mouth, blah, blah, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You start to grow and you don't feel as bad that you're not getting views because you have your fellow creators and friends within the space that are doing the exact same thing you're doing. So it doesn't feel as lonely.
So you definitely said this like while we've been talking just now, but also just from watching YouTube for so long myself, like I've seen the biggest things, not just for like growth, but like collaboration and community, like are the two like pillars of that I've seen of YouTube. So, and you guys have already mentioned that today. So do you have like a big collaboration, like a dream collab that you would want to do?
Well, it's interesting. So right now, are you familiar with Daryl Eves?
I am, yeah.
So
I just talked to Metal for Breakfast as well pretty recently.
Oh, nice.
On the podcast?
Yeah. Just and
cool.
I've been backing up a few episodes, so
nice.
I haven't released it yet, but he's a big Daryl Eves guy as well.
Yeah, he saw some growth with his TikTok videos that he posted recently.
Yeah.
He's a real fun guy.
Mm-hmm.
So Daryl, we've actually been like talking to Daryl for like a couple of years now. Like we initially got introduced to him via like Cody did like a giveaway for VidSummit tickets with him, and like we entered that competition, and then Daryl saw our video and liked it. Anyway, this last VidSummit, he came up to us and proposed this series he wanted to start, which is like 24 hours with, or like spending some time with like a creator and like making a video about them and their process and like what they did to succeed on YouTube. And
some Babin stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
But but also I think it's more. I think he kind of ventured away from the 24 hours with, and it's more just about. I'm going to interview super successful YouTubers. How did you overcome this? Or how did, you know,
or like, how did you grow your brand? Or like, what did you do specifically? Like what specific steps did you do to like grow your business? And then like each creator would have like a different insight. And then like you would, you know, travel the country and figure out everybody's insights and like package them all together and like present them to you on like his YouTube channel where he's like, cause he's got a big connections, you know, he's like the VidSummit dude. He knows all these YouTubers.
Yeah, absolutely.
So anyway, he needed somebody to film the series for him. So he reached out to us. And so in the early, obviously it's kind of weird because of all the COVID stuff, but we were traveling with him to like Utah, and like we made a video for him with Sean Duras. And then we went to like another family called the Ohana Family.
The Ohana Family Adventures.
And like they're like a family channel on YouTube. So like there's like all these different like corners of YouTube that he's like trying to get insights from. And the next one that we're doing is actually going to be Mr. Beast.
Wow.
So
really?
So we're going to fly out to North Carolina.
At least that's what was on the roster. You know, he's been hanging out, helping him grow. Because I don't know if you've noticed, but Mr. Beast he's
buying islands.
Well, yeah, he's been taking some pretty big steps in the last few months to really grow.
Oh, absolutely. And I watched your videos kind of talking about that as well. So yeah, the growth is insane. So
yeah, Mr. B or Daryl is out there helping him with all that stuff. So I don't know if that's still. If the whole, I don't know where the series is right now, Daryl's series.
It's tricky because of like, we kind of expected the whole coronavirus thing to kind of like settle down, but the series is sponsored by Storyblocks, like the series as a whole. So they expect like a certain amount of videos from him.
And so is this podcast. No,
one day. Yeah.
So yeah, it is kind of like up in the air right now as far as like when they're going to be filmed, or if he's like the series is on hold and like we're filming at a later time. But that's Mr. Beast is like the next one he wants to do. So we're still trying to figure out when it actually is going to be like, is it going to be later this month, the next month, or is it going to be like 3 months from now, you know?
So that's your dream.
My dream collab. I mean, I would say like my dream collab is like Elon Musk or something.
Yeah, I was going to say like, yeah, Mr. Beast is cool with his 40 million subscribers and all that. But I want to be able to eventually, like, I've always said this, like be at a festival where I'm interviewing Diplo, or, you know, like I want us to be able to just really be known where we can just communicate with whoever we want and get these interviews. And I don't even see it as a collab. I just want to do these little exposés on people that everyone knows and get their insights. I think there was a time where you'd hear these like rags to riches stories. And you're like, Eminem, how did you get your first record deal? And there would be this theme that I would notice, because I was always drawn to this growing up in the 90s and the 2000s of the VH1 specials, like behind the music kind of stuff of how someone's that story, that rags to riches story is so engaging, but all of them would always skip over that one moment of it was always like, yeah, so one moment I was like living in the trailer with my mom, but then Dr. Dre signed me. I'm like, wait, hold on.
What'd you do in between that though?
Yeah, like I want to
Yeah.
know what happened there. And
Right.
and so in my mind, if I were ever to interview these people, the Elon Musks and the Diplos, it'd be, tell us about that part. Like,
Yeah.
how did you the actionable steps that you took for that? Yeah.
So that kind of brings it back to this whole podcast and interview. So for you guys and building this process, like, is your income strictly from YouTube now? Like, what kinds of things are you doing to?
Yeah,
I
I mean,
almost laughed out loud. Lol.
Income, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we have like some money in our AdSense accounts from like the one-off videos that like get, I don't know, like 40K views or something.
Sure.
Like
Yeah.
every once in a while. But we don't have any other like external anything that's monetized, like merch or like a Patreon or anything like that. I'm sure like in the future that'll be something we do once we kind of like have everything's more manageable,
It's all going to come at once.
Yeah,
Right?
most likely. Yeah, because like that's not something you want to rush. It's like because you want to like build a core audience, and like I always know it's so much cooler when like someone's built an audience and they haven't like released anything, but when they finally do release something, it's like this huge, like there's so much hype around it because like this is the first time they're doing something. It's like everybody's motivated to like, all their audience is motivated to like be there on like the first drop or whatever. And
what are your thoughts on creators having like existing first merch like as they build an audience instead of releasing when they've already built it up?
I think if it makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I think if we had merch, because we're really big in our minds, we're really big on fashion. So I think if it makes sense that like we would rock our own merch because it's like the fashion that we want to rock, then it makes sense to just already have merch.
Mm-hmm.
But there are times where you see some creators where they haven't really built any of an audience yet, and they're kind of putting the cart before the horse. We're like, here's my Patreon, here's here's this and that, here's the trailer, and you're just like, all right. It's like the rappers that rap about them being rappers. It's like, let's have the content first before you rap about your success.
Yeah, I think for like Jonathan said, because at least in our heads we care about fashion. It's, for example, I'm sure you're familiar with H3 Productions, right?
Absolutely.
Like their Teddy Fresh line.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very like, you could tell that they actually like meet with the designer and like come up with the ideas, and like they actually have like color blocked hoodies where it's like an actual design. It's not just like, a print on a t-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
And I think then when you get to that spot, then you can like really do whatever you want. If you are growing your audience, I would probably recommend doing more of like a print on demand thing versus like putting a bunch of money down and like getting a supply of t-shirts and then like hoping you get money back on it versus just like going on Amazon. It's like, if you want to buy a t-shirt, they make it per order. So you're not losing out on any money. But for us personally, like I said, because we care so much about like the fashion side of it, we would probably rather wait till we can get to the point where we can actually like talk to a designer and have like legit clothes, so we can like wear clothes that we actually want to wear that way. Because like if you have clothes, if you're like selling merch and like your personal self doesn't wear it, why is your audience going to be motivated to wear it?
Of course. Yeah, definitely.
Well, it's also taking that extra step and not being like, I'm just going to put merch out just for the sake of it. It's like, no, it's like, what would I actually wear? Oh, it's like, I would wear something that is like, it's woven in this type of fabric. And so I think it's just, you're allowing yourself to give it more thought as well. I think that's a benefit too.
Yeah, because we definitely like, I think in the first couple of months, like I made t-shirts for Methodbox. I saw like Amazon's merch or whatever. And like I ordered like some for myself, but it was never like, people were like, oh, I want to buy that or whatever. And even if they did, like I made like 10 cents or something. It was in like from one purchase or something stupid.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say like, yeah, if you have like a small fan base and they're like interested, then I would go that route until you have enough money, and then you can like make it like a legit clothing line. Then it's like, then I feel like that's where the real money is made.
So if you were to make a video, like you guys are saying that you're like into the fashion and the business side of like creators. So if you were to make a video about H3 and their fashion line of Teddy Fresh, like what would you want to focus on?
Probably that aspect of it, like how they source it, because yeah, like I said, there is a difference between like David Dobrik's merch and like H3's merch versus like, I don't know, just someone that puts a print on a shirt. So yeah, I would want to like do a deep dive into figuring out who they're working with, maybe get like an interview with that person, and then like talk about like what it takes to build a clothing line and like how much overhead you need and like how much the investment is up front and like what the return usually is and like how much do you have to sell in order to make a return and like all the logistics. I feel like that'd be pretty interesting.
Do you know that it's been months since David Dobrik has put out a video?
I did. I've noticed. Yeah.
He posts on TikTok daily though.
He's getting paid to post on TikTok.
Yeah, exactly. So he's not at a loss.
Yeah. Do you see is like YouTube falling behind and like not putting a focus on their creators like other social media apps are?
Yes, I would say 100%, but also I don't see YouTube going anywhere anytime soon.
No, definitely not.
So it's almost like they don't really need to. Although it would be really nice if they did.
I could see with YouTube there being another adpocalypse. I feel like that could easily happen. Like, so the latest thing that happened that I think scared a lot of creators was the whole Copa thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
is that the children one?
Like, yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. It's like, is your children made for, or is your content made for children?
Right, exactly, yeah.
And I think, so a lot of channels that were based or like that kind of like blurred the lines, I think it just really scared a lot of people. It's just one of these moments where just like adpocalypse where you're like, wait a minute, should I not rely solely on this platform, which is like the Roberto Blakes of the world we'll talk about.
Knowing that like your whole livelihood is reliant on something that you don't fully control.
Or that you can just get 3 strikes and this, millions of subscriber channel that you've built can just be wiped away. And then you're like, okay, well now what?
A copyright strike just because somebody wanted to, or somebody, threw it out there. Yeah.
I mean, I think our last 2 videos before like this Mr. Beast one, like, we put a bunch of time into making them. And then right away, like half an hour after we uploaded it, they each got like not copyright strike, but like
claims,
actually,
copyright claims.
Got claimed, yeah, like a monetization claim because like a second of the video used like a song from a TikTok video, and then they claim the entire video, and it's like, oh, okay, welcome to this niche.
yeah. So it's like you were saying earlier. There's so many things. It's a learning experience. It's all a science experiment. It almost feels like there are hundreds of things to keep in mind when you put content out. And that's just one other of the many things. So and it all boils down to, we're going to make this idea and we have to present it to the world. You're kind of walking on eggshells with all of these factors the checklists that you have to hit, and then all these things you have to avoid. Mm-hmm. And it's, I don't know if that's a good thing. It's healthy or not healthy to make art that way, but it's definitely interesting.
Yeah. I would say it's taking more of a business approach to it. Like treating it like a legit business that you're trying to grow. Then you really do have to look at like all the analytics and the science and the best practices and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah, versus like someone that's doing a YouTube channel because they just want to like have a documentation of their life or something.
Right, just a place to put their videos.
Yeah, because then it's like you don't have to worry about all that stuff because that person isn't necessarily going for the views.
Mm-hmm. And I also noticed you guys had a playlist at the end of your videos for people coming from Colin and Samir's channel as well.
Yeah, I just made that, by the way.
Oh, is that really? I had no idea about
so
that.
One of the things,
I think it makes sense. Though.
So one of the things you want to do as a YouTuber is create these data relationships between your own personal content and just other content on the internet. You have to communicate to the algorithm who you are as far as how you're being defined, what categories, and the less convoluted you can be about that, the more clear you can be about that, the better it knows. Look, we all complain about the algorithm hey, the algorithm didn't promote my video, didn't suggest it, or whatever it is. It's not coming up in search. But the thing is, it wants to help you. It sees you as a partner. It wants to take a bet on your work, as long as the thing that you're making has a high click-through rate and high retention rate. So
are you keeping people on the platform?
Are you engaging them? Are you engaging them? So can I get in the weeds a little bit about the algorithm? Okay.
Yeah. That's like my favorite stuff to talk about.
So audience, if you don't know this, click-through rate is, so you're on your homepage. Everyone's homepage is different. Let's say at any given moment, you're presented 30 thumbnails of videos that it thinks that you like from all categories of life that you like. And those are called impressions. It's basically taking a bet and saying, hey, what do you think about these? And did you do your job to...
I have a charger for my computer, sorry.
Our laptop's going to die. He's going to get a charger. Did you do your job? Did you do your job in having a catchy thumbnail, and then the eye is going to go straight to the title, and then having a catchy title? If someone clicked on that, that's basically called click-through rate, where it's the impression converted into an actual view. So if you have a high click-through rate, you've done a good job, which is 10% for the average YouTuber. And then, like you said, what's the retention rate? Did you keep people on? Did you do a good job on keeping people watching your video? And they say 60% is really good. So, yeah.
Do you guys know what yours is at the moment?
It's the last videos, the last 3 videos since we've started this new direction have been anywhere from like 7.6 to 10% click-through rate, which is great. And have been about 50 to 60% on retention. So this is all great. So at some point though, we have to complain to ourselves and be like, what does a guy got to do to get suggested? Because that's back in like 2014, you would make videos that were searched. That was the mentality. You wanted your video to be searched. Now they say that you want to go for suggested because that's where you see a lot of growth. That's when you see these videos where within a week, the video got like 400K views or something. That's because YouTube decided to just really push that video for whatever reason. And so that's what you want to go. So your title isn't searchable. It's more sticky for the human side of it. You know, like is this just something that somebody would be curious on, this title? And yeah, so that's what we're kind of pulling our hairs, or we're about to hear. What do we have to do to get suggested? Do we just have to keep posting videos that are just like super consistent in the time of week that we post and within the format? Like, is it the 5th video? Is it the 6th video?
Is it the 4th video?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I think part of it too is because we are kind of like, it's somewhat of a pivot from what we were usually doing. YouTube kind of has to like re-index us as far as like understanding what kind of channel we are. So I think part of the process is this phase that we're in right now is trying to get YouTube to understand, look, this is the new direction we're going in. So now YouTube can start to understand who it should be pointing our videos to. Hence
making playlists like, hey, you're here from Colin and Samir. You're creating that data relationship more so for the algorithm than for people.
Definitely. And also like you're putting a playlist for people to watch, and then the watch time and retention on their videos keeps people. That's the idea. I don't know how accurate that is. If people actually click on playlists and like will actually watch playlists. Like, do you do that? Do you think you do that? You know what? Honestly, I don't think so.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
It's like there's all these best practices, but then you have to ask yourself like, okay, what would a human actually do though?
I think playlists are more so for data relationship than actual getting people to sit down and watch a shit ton of your videos.
You could probably go in the analytics and figure out the exact percentage of people that go and click on it.
Yeah, it's not many.
Yeah, it's probably not many at all.
Like end screen videos in general, or
no, playlists in general.
Playlists. Okay.
Yeah.
I think the way the modern brain works when it comes to media is they want to be in control of it. So they want to be able to say, no, look, I'm going to invest an hour of my day into, I just discovered you into browsing your content because I like what you're about. But I want to be able to, first off, I don't know that I'm going to spend an hour yet because I'm kind of, I'm hitting the snooze button. I think it was Andrew Schultz that said that. People end up spending a lot more time because they're hitting the snooze button. Like, all right, one more video, and then they end up spending an hour. But they want to.
He's killing it right now.
Dude,
oh my God,
yeah. He had the right mentality of just we're gonna just post comedy, my own comedy special for free. Just put it out there and then do like one joke a week or whatever it was. Yeah, now he's just once he got on Rogan and then everybody kind of knew about him, he kind of took off. But
yeah.
I think just to kind of finish this thought, I think people want to be able to go on your channel and then just like hopscotch around and be like, I want to watch this, a little bit of that. I want to watch a little bit of that. All right, I'm done. Versus just here's a playlist that we presented to you, you know,
because everybody's got different interests and everything. Yeah. And even just myself in watching YouTube videos, I sometimes take like a step back and like look at myself objectively watching it and consuming. as soon as I hear even like the slightest hint of someone doing their outro, I'm already,
You're
swiped
out.
out.
Yeah.
It's like,
Right.
realistically, how many people are actually going and watching the end screens and sticking around? So you almost got to be kind of strategic and like sneak it in there without them realizing, or still like be presenting information while it's going on, kind of deal.
That's more so for retention rate. You don't, if the last 30 seconds of your video is your outro and people are aware of that, and the Nathans of the world are already clicking away, well, that's going to affect your average retention. So you do want to sneak attack on where all of a sudden it's like, all right, it's the end of the video. You're like, what?
Right.
And it's done.
Another trick that we do too is like, you can put like the little card, or it's like, click right here and watch this video or whatever. When we try to look at our retention graphs, and like right before there's a dip in the graph, we put a card. So that way it's like, we know that, okay, a good chunk of people might dip at this part, rather than just dipping them and like getting them off a video. Why don't we serve them a video that they might be interested in? And then they'll be like, oh, okay, I'll check this video. And now they're on our channel for even longer.
Which, by the way, if you're watching the Starting From Zero podcast and you'd like to watch more videos like this, make sure to click on that card that comes up right there to watch more.
It's crazy how perfectly timed that was. Yeah.
Do you post these on YouTube?
Yeah, I do. So it's on YouTube, Instagram, and then I got a Twitter, and I have a TikTok, but I haven't posted on it in a while. For a while, I was putting a lot of focus into it because, I got Gary Vee in my ears, and he was pushing that for a while. But now I don't know. But yeah, it's on the tube. Nice.
Cool, man.
Yeah. So I got one more question for you guys, and then I'll let you go. I really appreciate you
Yeah, of course.
This might be one of the, like a really good conversation, but one of my longest as well. So like, that's awesome.
Sweet.
Yeah, once you get us going, we don't shut up talking about ourselves. So sorry about that.
No, man, like this is what this is for. And like, I love the medium too, like to just kind of have the opportunity to go in depth on all this kind of stuff. So I've been asking every creative person that I talk to this kind of question. So for anybody just starting today, what kind of advice would you give them?
So yes, I would say take time. There is a benefit to just get going. Just go out there and start making videos, find your voice, this and that. I would almost, now 2.5 years in the game, I would say really take your time before you start making anything to analyze in a real way. Like take weeks to do this, like every day almost. Like, what do I like? What resonates with me? Like from patterns, like behavioral patterns, and the like really break down the videos that you watch and why you watch them from a psychological point of view. And then ask yourself, do I want to make videos? Like once you think you've found your identity, ask yourself, do you want to make videos? Do I want to make videos like this 3 years down the line, 4 years, 5 years on the line? If the answer is still yes, you're going to be pumped, passionate about this thing. And you can kind of visualize the vision for everything from the editing style to all the branding and everything in between. Then go and make your first 5 videos, kind of like what you're doing. You're front loading your podcast. Front load your first 5 videos. And then start posting consistently every week while you're producing the next videos. And then it's clear from the beginning with the algorithm and with people and with yourself what you're doing.
Perfect.
Nice. Pretty good.
Yeah.
I guess I would say it kind of complements what Jonathan said. Once you figure out what you do want to do on YouTube, find other channels that are doing something similar, and then go to their like most popular videos and then just make videos like that, because those are the videos that are like kind of almost guaranteed to really pop off. And then once you get the ball rolling on that, then I kind of feel like they'll start to come to you more naturally, and you'll start to figure out exactly what other types of videos you can make that'll complement those videos. And then as far as like going to similar channels and finding things that work, I would also just try to copy, like not necessarily copy, because you still want to like be your own.
You make it your own. Yeah.
Take inspiration from.
Yeah, take inspiration from. But like chances are they have it down to like a structure where they, because they've already put in all the work and they know all the data, and chances are their video that they put out today is going to be a lot better than the video they put out a year ago. So I would like analyze their most recent videos as well of the channels you want to be like, and understand the structure, because there's probably something to it. So if you can like also kind of structure your videos in a similar way, chances are like you'll start to be served next to them. You'll have a similar audience, and then in turn you'll start to grow and start to succeed because you're making content that already resonates with the audience right off the bat.
Mm-hmm. And then once you've made about 10 videos, probably go get your first collab under your belt. And you don't want to reach for the stars quite yet, but you want to make sure. So somebody who's, at a decent subscriber count than you, that you basically want to make yourself known in the community that person is in. And you would need to, though. You can't just say, hey, I kind of want a shout out. You have to provide some value to that creator as well. Mm-hmm. So you kind of have to have an idea that you can pitch that creator to say, hey, whether it's me doing this for you or whatever, I think this could be a good collaboration for this reason. Obviously, I'm starting out. If you can get that person to say yes, you got your first collab under your belt. Now you're exposed to a new audience, and then you're telling the algorithm, hey, look, something's happening with my channel here. Pay attention.
Yeah, I think the best way is especially in the beginning to like get those collaborations is it's got to be something that benefits both parties, not just benefiting you because of the views you're going to get. You have to bring something to the table that makes them excited to want to have you on.
And it's not going to be views, you giving them views. So it's got to be something else, right?
It's like a creative idea or like a fun like execution of something or like something that'll get their audience excited too.
I think in the beginning, that's what our approach was for the collabs that we got is we're essentially going to make these like these mini docs that we put a lot of time in on you. And you'll get to have this, which is, like if someone did that for us, I'd be like, that'd be cool if someone took time to make a little mini doc on us. Like that'd be cool.
And they're making content for you, right? Like, I
think it's called like thank you marketing. I think there's like a.
Oh, really? Of course there's a term for it.
Yeah. Or like you do something for somebody or like a company sends you products for free. And then of course you get on your Instagram story and be like, oh, thank you. Peter McKinnon for sending me your backpack or something.
Exactly. You tag Peter, link to Peter's account.
And now it's like enters the more saturation market.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
And I think if people can see, if the potential collaborator can see that you've put in work as well, they need to see that they're essentially going to vouch for you. So they have to see that you're hardworking, and they have to see. That's another reason for why your vision should be kind of clear from the beginning, because they can see your vision as well, and then they see that you're a hard worker. So that's somebody I want to back this person. So be strategic in when you decide to push that button on reaching out for the collab. But I would say that would be the next step, and then you're kind of off and running.
Right. Yeah. This is you guys have provided a lot of value today, just like giving a lot of tips, and I appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Just like talking shop.
Thank you for caring to have us on too.
Yeah. Hey man, we love to talk about this kind of stuff. So it's just fun to talk about it with another person.
That's not us, sir.
No, agreed. Yeah.
We could go for hours about this kind of stuff.
Yeah. I was honestly saying, but yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing what videos you guys are putting out, like what the plan is for the future. And,
and stay in contact with us, man. This is we got a new friendship here. So
yeah, definitely. I'm really just like a part of like one of the fun things about this is like just building everyone's searching for their community, like their place or who their people are, and I'm excited to like meet and build that community. So
hopefully we can meet in person one of these days.
When whatever post-corona life looks like,
when the Rona's over,
it's fun having like this community that we're in, because it feels just like a giant party, where everybody just knows each other and like talk to anybody.
It's weird. It's like a reality television show that you're participating in. You can consume, someone's content and then feel like you know them, and then you can meet them. And then same, you can be making your content, your little window into your universe, but then you guys can actually like hang out and be like, "Hey, we're the characters and the things that we're watching." It's this really weird world that we're in.
Very surreal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. Well, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. I appreciate you taking the time and.
Yeah, of course, man.
For
Thank
sure.
You.
Yeah. Well,
you're like, oh, I didn't hit record.
Oh no, you guys down for another hour? Yeah.
Hey man, thank you for having us. Yeah, you enjoy your day too.
All right, appreciate it, guys. Have a good one.
All right, man.
You too.
Peace out, dude.
Later.
See ya.
Thank you so much for listening to the Starting From Zero podcast. Go check out Methodbox on social media on all platforms as @Methodbox. And a big thank you to Jonathan and Nathan for sharing their story. If you want to check out more from the Starting From Zero project, all you have to do is search Starting From Zero. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.